Hello everyone, Bean from the bedroom here. You're a guitar junkie. So, yeah, listen, I'm going to try something. I know it's not going to work, but let me see. So, anyone wants to put that in a loop, do what I do. I take my loop pedal and I take the earphone jack. I have a cable that goes into my pedal, and I record it and I loop it. And I play it through. I have an out playing it through my little amp to make sure I looped it just right before I unplug everything. Get that on and see if someone can take that and maybe add something to it, and each person can grow, can add to it. We could make it grow. Or just do it in a loop and make some kind of solo over it. Wouldn't that be cool? So, this is the harp, the mouth harp I told you guys about earlier. I just bought one. I had one of these when I was a kid, identical to this. And I have to maybe find a YouTube video on how to do it. I still don't know how this works, where it goes, but when I'm in, my pedal board, and I'm doing that, now I only have my Demon FX attack drive. That's my first time I remembered that. That is my Andy Timmons clone. I only have that on. And like I said, it's like the gain and the gain and the volume, I think, is like at a little bit past 9 o'clock, between 9 and 10. So when I throw on the gain on my amp, with my phase shifter on, so now with it off, when I do that, that's what that's supposed to sound like. Then when I add the shifter to it, yeah. I don't know what song that's on. Maybe it's on 40. Maybe, and I could play it to that. But yeah, that's the way I do that with the phaser and the wah-wah pedal at the same time to emulate that sound. So I broke down. I bought one. It was like, I don't know, $9 on Amazon. And yeah, I tried it right away, and I just couldn't do it. I was just like slapping myself in the lip with it. So, and I really don't, even when I'm plucking the strings, I don't like anything touching my lips. I'm silly that way. I am allergic to different things. So, believe it or not, polyester pants used to break my legs out when I was a kid. Growing up in, 65, I was in kindergarten. And what was it, 67, 68 is when polyester came out. And I was breaking out and didn't realize it was from the material. Then when dentists started using latex, I started breaking out from that. And then finding out that they prepare food instead of, when they started to have to wear gloves, instead of wearing the vinyl gloves, they started wearing latex. And if someone makes food, I start getting blisters. It's nasty. So I tried that to no avail. I couldn't get it. So I'll try to see if I can find a YouTube video on it somehow so I could actually try to make it work. Bought a harmonica too that I haven't used yet because I used to always have a harmonica, and I haven't even, that's somewhere tucked away. So, anywho, let me make some noise and maybe discuss what everyone goes through with Facebook and Marketplace. It's almost like if you've ever seen Roland with Robert De Niro when he was cool, and they're under the bridge buying, ammunition and guns and stuff, and everyone's like leery of the other one. They get their hand in their pocket on their pistol. It's like that when someone comes to your house to buy something. Well, I'll get into that. I hope this is the backing track I can make some noise to. I hope. It's nice if I had the volume on the volume pedal, right? Duh. So that was it. I had a feeling, I was hoping, really, just with my fingers crossed, honestly. But, so, yeah, I had someone come out to buy my Squire Telly. And I have it on Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace. Okay, right. I'm just thinking. So I got a text super early in the morning, like 7 something, 7, 8 o'clock maybe in the morning. I don't know. I get like 4 hours of sleep, 3 to 4 hours of sleep a night, honestly. And the morning is when I get into my deepest sleep. I'm mostly up till about 2, 3 in the morning. Now I'm not up doing anything. I'm just meditating, trying to fall asleep. And they got a text. asking about my telly. So I was like, yeah, communicating, call me, let me know. Well, he's so I'd like to come out to see it. When you want to see it? I'd like to see it today. Okay, well, text me before you're going to come, and I'll shoot you my address. Because I don't like giving my address out straight away, because what happens is I never see the person. I want to know that you're actually leaving the house and heading my way before I give you my address. Because then, whenever I leave my house, I'm concerned if someone's going to try to break in to get what I'm trying to sell. My wife is home all the time because she works at in the house here. But still, and I do have a dog. I do have motion sensitive devices around my yard, and I do have cameras. I work security in the private sector, and I came from New York, so yeah, I'm up on everything. So he shot me a text and says, okay, I'm heading out now. I gave him my address, and he said I'll be there within an hour. He had like he was pretty far away. Every time they mentioned something, a town or a county in Florida, I'm not familiar with it. So I just moved here in 2016 and bought the house in 2017. So, and I'm on the West Coast, not the East Coast. So I'm by, the Gulf of America, and not far from Tampa, but right off the water. So he shows up, and I bring the guitar out, and I even state, like, sometimes I might have an extra gig bag for $25. I might have, an extra hard case, for $50. It depends on what, I need cases for my guitars that are out. So if I have extra ones, I would just to get rid of them, because it's taking up room. Room over there, room behind me, room under the bed. So he comes, and I have my little amp, my little line 6. I plug into that. Real nice guy. I have a bucket with a towel in my garage. I never bring him in the house. And starts to, he starts to play. And I could tell by his finger stretch and his chord, the way he's placing, that this guy is a good chordsman, a good rhythm player, like this. He's got that ability. And he starts playing, he's doing that, and he's playing nice melodies on the guitar. And right away he likes it. He says, this is like my first electric guitar, and used to play an acoustic. And I think the gauge strings on there were between 9 and 10. It could have been 9.5, because it's not exactly a 9, or it's not exactly a 10. It could be a 10 that was overstretched and feels like a 9, when they get really worn. I don't know. But he liked, and I said, he liked the string gauge. And I said, don't be putting 12s on there. 9 or 10s really is all you need. I says, and the strings were roach. So I said, if you restring it, try 9s first. If you used to playing an acoustic, it'll play like it is now, like butter. And he was going on and saying something. Somehow pedal effects got brought up. And he said, yeah, I'm going to plug this in. I normally plug it into my board that I use my acoustic guitar, and that's how it was brought up. And I says, he says, can I show you the way I have it set up? They go, yeah, and he shows me. I don't remember exactly the foundation on how we got to it, but I said, yeah, I have friends of mine that are professional musicians that call me up and ask me, how should I run this? Why this? Put the pedal here. What do you think about this? It happens a lot. So they call me like the guru of the pedal board. So I tell them about the static free grounded patch cables. I tell them about running a power supply to each pedal. He does that with one of those power supplies, that you could run to each pedal, and he doesn't use a daisy chain. And he's saying he's got, and I'm like, I could see right away that the pedals aren't in in my opinion, in proper places that they should be. So I start telling him this, that, and the other thing, and you know, he's got a volume pedal, and I tell him where I will put the volume pedal, and you know, and somehow a wah was brought up, and I said, you know, do you have a wah? Is that a wah? I thought a pedal was a wah. That's how it was brought up. Because I never used a wah before. He says, you know, I don't know if he was thinking about getting one. I says, well, oddly enough, I have 2 wah pedals for sale. Says, I'm not trying to push a sale on you. I says, but you know, if you want, you could try it while you're here and see if it floats your boat, and see if you could use it. He goes, yeah, sure, no problem. He pays me for the guitar, because you know, I wasn't gonna go in the house and come out and then he's gone. Pays me for the guitar, and I come out with the pedals. You know, I had a Crybaby, was it 9105 or something like that, or 9501, whatever it was, original. And I told him how I tweaked this so it's got more low end. And I plug it in, and I had a separate power supply to it. And, you know, he's just like he's doing like that. So I said, it takes some time. It's like the first time you're behind the drum kit, you got to use 2 hands and 2 feet, you know. You're playing with 2 hands up here, and then that foot has to have a mind of its own. It says, and what I like to do is I like to use it, just like my tremolo bar, to accent what I'm doing, you know, like. Stuff like that. So he was trying it, and he was just stick with. And I'm like, yeah, your foot isn't relaxed. It's not, you know, it's just going with whatever you're doing. It says it takes time. You either got it or you got to work on it. And I mentioned, you know, Terry from 25 or 6 to 4 Chicago. I says, he was just going like with his foot, but he just happened to be at the right time where it made it sound like the wah 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 kind of thing. I said, so you know, it's something that you know you have to work on, is, you know, kind of thing. So he's like, yeah, I don't think it's for me. I says, all right, that's fine. I says, again, I'm not trying to sell it to you, but nice guy. And I said, okay, you know, if you got any questions about your pedal board, feel free to call me. You know, because he could send me a picture, he could shoot me a video, and then I could say, yeah, I would do this, I would do that. You know, I says, it's trial and error, really. I says, but, you know, I was saying with overdrives and the way you want them and the way you want to stack them and how they are, the whole bit. So he left, and this morning I got another from Facebook Marketplace, early in the morning. And I put on all my ads, no trades, cash and carry, you know, I will not ship, I will not meet, you come here, all of this kind of, you know, happy stuff. And yes, it's still available. And I get a thing saying, oh, and I've gotten it before plenty of times. I got it from the same guy about 4 times one time, about trading a guitar, you know, like a bass guitar for one of my guitars. I'm like, so, then one was a Jackson. So I got this thing, and it was my Chauvel, the blue one with the 3 pickups. And the guy says, you know, would you want to trade? And he's got a Eddie Van Halen 5150 50 watt 212 combo tube amp, the white, just like my 40 over here. So I'm like after 9 in the morning, it's about around the time I'm rolling out, getting up anyway. So I do YouTube videos on it, and I know like 6L6, because I'm used to the EL34s, and you know, I got it, and I'm here, and I'm like, the only thing I really liked about it is that it had a separate foot switch for the reverb, and I wish mine had that. This has 2 buttons, one for channel switching, clean the dirty, and the other one for boost. And I don't use, that's the boost, and I believe it's on like 1, just in case I ever did need it for something. But yeah, I just wish I had it for the reverb instead of for the boost. But this had it. It was a 3-channel. It was like 212 combo, 50 watt. Like if I ever do get involved with a band again, or get invited to, you know, go out and play somewhere, join a group, come up for, you know, a gig and just do a couple of songs, I think that might be a good suit, you know, a good mix, a good fit. There we go. I'll find the word eventually. The 40 watt is sounds good, but I've never cranked it, so I love it at the volume it's at now. But I don't know if it's good if I need to have it turned up with a live band, if I'm going to, you know, lose some of that tone that I have dialed in right now. So I'm like, I was on the fence about it. I said, yeah, sure. I said, I'm interested, but I'd have to hear it first. So the guy said, I said, just, you know, he's telling me about it. I said, yeah, I just saw, you know, a YouTube video on it, just one. And I'm like, when do you want to come out? Because he says, I could bring it out to you and you could try it. I said, well, when do you want to do it? He says, you want to come out today? And if so, what time? He goes, yeah, I can come out today at 1 o'clock. Again, I says, okay, when you're ready, let me know. I'll shoot you my address and you can head on out. And with that, I got up, you know, I was already up a little earlier than I normally get up. So I'm up, I ate, I'm washed, I'm dressed. I figured let me hit the gym, get that over with early, which was nice because a lot of people weren't there at the time, the earlier time. Get a quick workout in, you know, watch the clock and buzz home. Come home and I figured, you know, I could, you know, clean up the front yard. I always take the blower to the front yard and then I can come in and have lunch. And then the guy will show up at 1 o'clock. And sure enough, at like, I think it was 12:15, or between 12:15 and 12:20, I noticed that he sent me another message because I sent him my phone number. That's another thing. They don't allow the phone numbers on Facebook Marketplace. So you have to spell out your phone number, which is what I used to do anyway, to keep the scammers, you know, from calling me. You got to be able to read and not just pick up a number to try to, you know, con me or steal my phone number, because that happens. They get your phone number and they use it to do scams for other people. So I check it and he goes, oh, I just realized that, you know, you're too far away, but I won't be back to pick up my son in time, so another day. So, oh, I'm like, good thing I didn't give him my address. And I just shot the thumbs up again, like, we'll see if I hear from this guy again. Now, if I do hear from this guy again, then I'll post a video with the amp, because I was already thinking, like, where am I going to put it? So I figured I take this amp off the stand, take the line 6, put the 212 here, because the knobs are in the front, which I like, instead of on top. Then put a towel over it, put the 40 on top of that, and I can still put the line 6 in front of it, because I really won't be using the 50 all that much. It's just to have as a backup, just for in case of what, I don't know. But because I only have that in my little Fender Princeton, that's like 25 watts or something like that I've had since, let me see, it was 1975. I bought it in 1976, so I've had it since 76. And that's all I've got to say. So again, going back to the beginning, if someone wants to put that on a loop pedal and do a video, you know, and or add something to it, and then, you know, make a video and then put it in the comment of this video, then I could upload that into my pedal and we can keep on going with it. And, you know, I'll post it up again and then maybe someone else can add something to it and add something to it. That would be cool. But I don't think it'll happen because I don't have luck that way. So again, sorry for the long video, but maybe it was worth it. And I feel terrible when I was joking about other musicians when me and my buddy were like goofing on them. And then, you know, now that I watched the video, I don't know if I posted it or not, but I watched the video on my TV set. I'm like, oh man, why did I do that? Like, you know, shut up. Yeah, I feel bad now. Thanks for watching. Have a good day and a better tomorrow.